Hola, we're back. This might be one of the most stacked cards of the year, UFC 296. This is a great pay-per-view to end off the year. You got guys like Dustin Jacoby fighting on the prelims. A little disrespectful in my opinion, but hey, that's how stacked this card is. And if you guys have been tuning in, we've been on fire lately. I've been telling you guys, man, my picks on these fight nights, money, bro, because these odds makers, they're not really putting too many odds makers on these fight night cards, right? So their attention is sort of elsewhere. You got these in-season NBA playoffs, or not playoffs, but like they had some in-season tournament. There's other sports going on. So these odds makers are elsewhere. They're not really caring about Yadong Song and Chris Gutierrez. No one's taking time out of their day and be like, hey, Yadong Song's fighting Chris Gutierrez and Andre Muniz is fighting Park. No one cares about that, right? But UFC 296, Leon Edwards, Kobe Covington, Shavkat's fighting. People are going to really tune in for this one. And this is where the odds makers are going to tune in, right? And that's where it's going to be more difficult to pick the fights. And these are usually the cards that are harder to make that income. But hey, we're on a roll right now and we're up big. If you guys seen our if you guys see my Instagram, I post my bet on the Friday or the Thursday, 2 days before the fight, and I took Tatsuro Taira by finish, and your boy got that big win. And I think we hit like pretty much the entire card, or the main card at least. We're on fire right now. So let's try to keep that win streak going into UFC 296. Edwards versus Covington. Man, I really like this card a lot. You got the main event, Leon Edwards taking on Kobe Covington. Man, this is a great fight here, right? Um, so Leon Edwards, great striker. He's got a pretty decent ground game himself. Not the greatest takedowns, but he does have decent jiu-jitsu, pretty decent takedown defense. But his striking is very good. His striking, he's going to have an advantage on the feet over Kobe Covington. He's a very slick striker, and he's definitely more well-rounded of a striker, especially with the kicking. Kobe definitely, likes to use his hands more. You don't really see Kobe Covington, shooting head kicks, stuff like that. And if you guys have seen his odds, right now he's minus 160. Before, when this, about a week and a half ago, these odds were about dead even. Leon Edwards is minus 125. Kobe Covington was plus 100. Now that tells me a ton of money has been going on Leon Edwards. A ton of money. And I don't like that. I tell you guys all the time, I bet against what everyone is feeling. I bet against the public, and I'm going against Leon Edwards. So I'm going with Kobe Covington. I think the layoff does, I'm a little worried about the layoff. Leon's been active, but you know what? People have been saying, oh, he had the perfect last two fights to get ready for Kobe Covington. No, he didn't. Usman is not the perfect fight. Usman doesn't wrestle like Kobe Covington. He can't, bro. His knees are gone. Usman's knees are gone. He's a striker now. He doesn't like to wrestle like he used to. When early in his career, he was a dominant wrestler. Great takedown defense. He's completely gone away from that. Kobe Covington, on the other hand, he puts on a pace. He can wrestle fuck guys. And I think exactly what he's gonna do. He's gonna grind Leon Edwards out for the decision. And I'm going for, your boy Kobe, and hopefully Trump's in the building. I think he will be, because this is gonna be a big one. If you have Sean O'Malley, Sean Strickland, Kobe Covington, champions, man, that's pretty crazy. That's wild. And you know, I got to go with Kobe Covington. I think he's going to get it done against Leon Edwards. It's a bit of a long shot, I know, but I think he can do it. He can definitely push the pace. If he get Leon down, he can grind him out. Now, is he going to submit Leon Edwards? Probably not. Is he going to knock Leon Edwards out? If he does, it's probably going to be with ground and pound or catching him, but I think he's probably going to grind out the decision. That's my opinion. I think he can easily get that done. And he comes in tremendous shape as usual. And he knows this is his last shot. So that's interesting. So Alexander Pantoja taking on Brandon Raw Dog Royval. This one is interesting because they actually just fought 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, Pantoja, choked out Royval, RNC. But to be honest, it's a whole different Raw Dog. Raw Dog, he's got a lot better. He's improved drastically. He's on 3 straight wins. Is that going to be enough to beat the champ? I don't know. I want to bet on Raw Dog here, to be honest. I want to bet against Pantoja. Even though he beat Moreno his last fight, it wasn't impressive. His style doesn't impress me too much, with the hands low. I think I'm going to go with Raw Dog on this one. I'm going to bet against the public again. And I'm going to go with Raw Dog Royval, even though he got choked out 2 years ago. I think with the right game plan, I think, hungry, I think he can make the right adjustments, and I think he can get the victory here. So I'm going to go with Brandon Raw Dog Royval. So now, this is probably your highlight fight of the night if, everyone wants to see Shavkat Rakhmonov. This is who all the hype's on. Rakhmonov. That's what everyone keeps talking about, right? Luke Thomas won't shut up about him, and all these MMA so-called experts, right? That have, all white belt experts, I call them, these guys. Never stepped a day on the mats, probably still white belts, but it is what it is. So Shavkat Rakhmonov taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Believe it or not, Stephen Thompson should not be plus 450. He's plus 500 on some betting websites. Shavkat Rakhmonov, if he's the same fighter that showed up to the Jeff Neal fight, he's going to be in for a long night. I'll tell you that right now. Because he did not impress me at all against Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal took that fight on short notice against Shavkat Rakhmonov, and he had Shavkat Rakhmonov hurt. Go back, watch that fight. I just went back and watched that Shavkat Rakhmonov fight. Was Shavkat winning? 100%. Won every round. But there was a few times where he got cracked with some big shots by Jeff Neal. And Jeff Neal had Shavkat on skates. He had Shavkat hurt pretty bad a couple times. And I'll tell you right now, if that same Shavkat shows up against Wonderboy, it could be a long night, because if Shavkat is not able to get this fight to the ground, you don't not want to strike with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He's, one of the best strikers in the world. Issue is he's 40 years old, right? Doesn't look 40, but, the age is for real. Now, the issue is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson has shitty takedown defense, and Rakhmonov has pretty decent takedowns. He went for a few on Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal stuffed every single takedown Shavkat threw at him, but the problem is Jeff Neal has better takedown defense than Wonderboy. If Shavkat goes in there and takes Wonderboy down, Wonderboy's in big trouble. I don't think he should be this big of a favorite. I think he should be definitely a favorite, but don't be surprised if Wonderboy shocks some of you. I'm not saying he's going to win, but he's going to do a lot better than most of people are give credit for, because don't get me wrong, Shavkat Rakhmonov is very good. He's one of the best fighters in that division, hands down, right? Easily could be champion of that division, probably will be champion of that division, but I can tell you right now, I don't know if he's going to stay champion for long, because, he's a guy who gets hit. He's got great head movement, but he gets hit. He eats shots. He will eat one to give one. And that's an issue with these 4-ounce gloves. And especially at the welterweight division, these guys hit hard. And, if Jeff Neal can rock you on short notice, what's going to happen when you fight some heavy hitters, right? What happens when you fight Leon Edwards? Because I'll tell you right now, Leon Edwards is a lot better than Jeff Neal, So That's interesting. This is probably the most interesting fight on the card. Definitely the most anticipated. And this is the guy that they were going to want to shoot to the title shot, right? They want Shavkat fighting for that title, immediately. And obviously, I got to go with Shavkat Rakhmonov, but don't be surprised if Steven does better than most people, especially the odds makers, are giving him credit for, because Shavkat's for real. Don't get me wrong, but his last fight, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you just have a bad night, right? You have an off night. I've seen the best athletes in the world have off nights, so that could have been an off night for Shavkat, and he still got it done, right? But if that was just a regular night for him, man, Steven might shock you. Don't get me wrong, Steven might shock you. Up next, Tony Ferguson, El Kakui taking on Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Now, Tony Ferguson is on a huge losing streak. Now, those are two top guys. Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Beneil Dariush, Bobby Green, Nate Diaz. Those guys are all super high level top guys, right? Other than maybe Bobby and Nate. But even those guys are all better, in my opinion, than Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Now, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, he's coming off a win over Jared Gordon that most people, including myself, didn't think he won the fight. Now, this is probably not a good matchup for him because, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to starch Tony. And if he doesn't, be like, yo, this guy's on a 7-fight losing streak. It's really a lose-lose for Paddy, right? Unless he goes out, even if he goes out there and knocks him out in the first, they're like, oh yeah, well, you should have done that. He's on like a 7-fight losing streak. So, uh, I'm gonna go with the underdog on this one. I'm gonna go bet on Tony Ferguson. Train with Jocko and shit. I'm gonna go with even though we know it's not Jocko, sorry, Goggins. Tony Ferguson never had an issue with cardio. And so you're bringing in Goggins to, you're doing this hell week. Makes no sense. Tony Ferguson has an issue with getting hit, right? So what do you do then? You want to work on defense, head movement, things like this. That's where you should probably go to somewhere like a gym like Floyd Mayweather's, work defense, shoulder rolls, not getting hit, stuff like that. And instead you're working cardio and you're not even fighting a 5-rounder. This is a 3-round fight. Makes no sense, but hey, maybe these guys know something I don't. I think Paddy the Baddy lost to Jared Gordon in his last fight, and I think Tony Ferguson is better than Jared Gordon, so I'm going to lean towards Tony Ferguson. Now, that being said, he's almost 40 years old. Age is catching up to him, and clearly brain damages too. Definitely not confident in that pick. It's plus 270. The odds are definitely pretty good. If you're feeling Tony, you might be able to make some bank betting on him, because Paddy the Baddy is not the most skilled fighter. Yeah. So I'll go with Tony on that one, plus 270. Now, up next, Vicente Luque taking on Ian Garry. So Vicente Luque, huge underdog, plus 300. That's surprising. I can tell you right now, if this fight took place 2 years ago, this fight would probably be even odds. But the fact that, Vicente Luque seems to have lost his chin, that's an issue. He seemed to have lost his chin against Bilal Muhammad, and Jeff Neal knocked him out pretty bad as well. And that's an issue when you're fighting a guy like Ian Garry, because he's young and he hits pretty hard. He's got great striking skills. You haven't really seen too much of his ground game, but Vicente Luque, he's a striker himself. He does have submission skills, but he's not a guy who's going to take you down to work submissions. If the fight goes to the ground, then he'll work submissions, but he's not a guy. He's the guy who likes to stand and bang. That's probably going to play right into Ian Garry's, the issue with Ian Garry is, where's his head at? You got all these issues going on with Ian Garry outside the octagon, right? With his, getting trolled for, his wife. And then he's saying, oh, I don't want to bring my family to the event. And he can't deal with the trolling and getting threats. And then look at Kobe Covington, man. He deals with crazy threats, man. 10 times, 100 times worse than Ian Garry ever has. And he's fine. So Ian Garry needs to get some thicker skin, in my opinion, because you are a celebrity now, almost. Pretty much, you're getting there, celebrity status. So you're going to have people who hate on you. That's just the way it is. You're going to have haters when you're successful, you're a celebrity, and you're someone who likes to talk shit. You're definitely going to have haters, right? And especially, he's in a weird situation where, his wife is much old. He's 26 years old. His wife is like over 40, and he lives with the ex-husband who's also the nutritionist, and it's just a weird situation going on, right? I don't super weird. But hey, it work clearly. Something's working for him, right? um the guy's the real deal. Inside the octagon, you can't take anything away from him. He's got skills. And now I'm hearing he's getting knocked out in training. Oh, Leon Edwards knocked him out, and someone else knocked him out. It's like, oh, did they knock him out? I don't know. I haven't seen it. He hasn't really said anything about it, right? So it's a weird situation. I'm not confident in all betting on Ian Garry. I'm almost, for almost the price, plus 300. You almost wouldn't mind taking a Luque, because Luque's always got a puncher's chance. He's hit hard. He hits hard. He knocks people out, man. The issue is his chin, like I said. Ian Garry, though, he's got those great leg kicks. That's going to be an issue I can see for Luque already with his the way he stands. He leaves that lead leg out there, and Ian Garry's, he's got that wide karate, not karate, but he's got a wide base, and he really chews up that calf kick like he did with Neil Magny, and he's probably going to chew up Vicente Luque's leg. So his ability to generate power is not going to be the same after Ian Garry gives him a couple leg kicks. But you got to go with Ian Garry, man. He's undefeated. How can you don't want to bet against him? And clearly, minus 400 for a reason. But I won't be betting on Ian Garry on this one, and I do not feel comfortable adding him on my parlay. I do not know where his head is at. And next, Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell. Now, this is interesting because Bryce Mitchell, huge favorite, minus 220, taking this fight on short notice against Josh Emmett, who's actually a very good wrestler. Bryce Mitchell, not a good striker, taking on Josh Emmett, who rarely gives up takedowns. I mean, Bryce Mitchell is a guy who really takes everyone down, right? And now he's fighting Josh Emmett, who really doesn't give up too many takedowns, and he's probably the better striker out of the two. And he's had a full camp. But what really impressed me is he took down Dan Ige, and Dan Ige is a strong wrestler. Yeah, I'm going to go with the over on this one. That's what I'll do. I'll take this fight to go to probably the decision. I don't know. Oh no, though. Bryce Mitchell might submit him. Yeah, because Bryce Mitchell, if he's able to take down Josh Emmett, Josh Emmett's got really good takedown defense. But I said the same thing about Ige, and Bryce Mitchell seemed to take down Ige with no problem. But he had a full camp going into that one. This one he's taking on short notice. This one's tough. This one's really tough. I might stay away from that one. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Bryce Mitchell has a hard time taking Emmett down. Those Team Alpha Male guys, they got really good takedown defense. And then now you're forced to strike with Emmett, and Emmett's definitely the better striker of the two. Up next, Cody No Chin Garbrandt taking on Brian Kelleher. So, man, Cody No Chin Garbrandt was a guy who came into the UFC on a roll. One of the best performances I've seen was when he fought Dominic Cruz. Man, this guy looked like he was in the Matrix. You were like, whoa, this guy is fighting in a different frequency. That's how good he looks, right? His run to the title was phenomenal. He looked so good, right? And then he fought, TJ Dillashaw, EPO Dillashaw, and once that chin cracked, man, TJ Dillashaw knocked him out. He was never the same again. He just kept getting knocked out, and he got knocked out like 4 or 5 times viciously, right? TJ knocked him out 2 times. Munoz knocked him out. Kai Car France knocked him out viciously. I don't even feel comfortable taking Cody Garbrandt, man. Now, Brian Kelleher, he's not the greatest fighter either. He's coming off, 2 first-round RNC losses, but you know what, man? He might be able to knock out Garbrandt because those guys he lost to are very strong grapplers. Umar Nurmagomedov took him down, RNC'd him. Okay, no shame. Umar, in my opinion, probably the number one guy in that bantamweight division that no one's talking about. And him and Merab, in my opinion. Mario Batista, super high level grappler himself, great jiu-jitsu, submitted him. Okay, great. Cody Garbrandt, is he going to go out there and try to submit Brian Kelleher? Probably not. He's probably going to go out there and strike. And if he goes out there and strikes with Kelleher, he might get clipped, bro, because he's got no chin. Like I said, he can easily get knocked out in this fight. For the odds, plus 175 for Brian Kelleher to finish this fight by KO is not impossible. So I don't feel comfortable taking Cody Garbrandt at all, and nor do I feel comfortable taking a Brian Kelleher. And if I'm sort of leaning towards Brian Kelleher just because of the no chin factor, and this fight is probably going to stay on the feet. So I'll go with Brian Kelleher just because of that factor. But I'm not really comfortable in either one of those guys. And why are these guys even on the main card? And you got Jacoby on the early prelims, or they're on the prelims, and Jacoby's on the early prelims. Come on, bro. So Dustin Jacoby, I big fan. Dustin Jacoby, I been taking him all the time when he fights. I'm a big fan of Dustin Jacoby, even from the Glory kickboxing days. This is gonna be, I think, this is gonna be a performance of the night for Jacoby. I think he knocks out Alonzo Metafield. So he was actually minus 188 about a week ago. So much money has went on Dustin Jacoby. He's almost minus 265 now. That's crazy. So Dustin Jacoby, even his fight with Khalil Roundtree, a lot of people thought he may have won that fight. It was a split decision. Khalil got the victory. He got the nod. Split decision, though. A lot of people thought Dustin Jacoby won that fight. It was close. I thought it was a very close fight. And Khalil's on a roll right now. Khalil, I want to see him. They're trying to say, oh, let's see him in Pereira. Let's settle down there. I'd like to see Khalil Roundtree fight like Johnny Walker or the rematch if he can, because Johnny Walker knocked out Khalil Roundtree viciously, pretty bad. If he can get that win over Johnny Walker, Khalil's back. So I would like to see Khalil get the rematch with Johnny Walker after Johnny Walker loses to Magomed Ankalaev. And Justin Jacoby lost to Azamat Mirzakhanov, who's the real deal, undefeated Russian dude. But then he came back viciously after 2 straight losses and just knocked out Kennedy Nzechukwu. First round, under 90 seconds. We bet on that. Big money. That was our bet. And you best believe he pulled through for us. Dustin Jacoby, add to your parlay. I can see him just destroying Alonzo Metafield. Now, this is interesting. Tagir Ulanbekov. If you guys don't know Tagir Ulanbekov, he's one of Khabib's boys. He trains with Islam and those guys. Savage. Hasn't really lived up to the hype. He was... they gave him a lot of hype when he came in, and he just hasn't lived up to it. But, Cody Durden, came into the UFC, fought his first fight against the guy who just fought last week, Chris Gutierrez, and it was a draw. Then he fought Jimmy Flick and got flying triangled in the first round. Did not look good. And then he fought Muhammad Makayev, got destroyed in the first under a minute, first round. But then ever since that Muhammad Makayev fight, he's looked really, really good. Racked up 4 straight wins, including a very impressive win over Charles Johnson and Jake Hadley. And Jake Hadley was, I believe, undefeated at the time, or was like 10-1. And now he's taking on Tagir Ulanbekov. This is going to be a very close fight. I got to go with the Dagestanis, though. I'll go with Tagir Ulanbekov on that one because, those Dagestanis. Andre Fili, Lucas Almeida, I'll take the over in that one. I think this fight's probably going to go decision. Martin Boudet taking on Shamil Gaziev. Shamil Gaziev undefeated. He's never had a fight in the UFC, but his fight in the Contender Series, he faced a bit of adversity, but, got the rear naked choke victory against Greg Velasco. Now he's, taking on his toughest opponent in Martin Boudet. Martin Boudet is, strong grappler himself. But I'm going to go with Shamil Gaziev. I'll take the underdog on that one. I'll take Shamil. And look at the first fight on the early prelims. Muslim Salikov taking on the rude boy, Randy Brown. Um, this fight I could see going to the decision. I sort of like Muslim Salikov in this one, but the issue is the age factor. He did have that long layoff before the Li Jingliang fight, the injury. And then, Li Jingliang destroyed him. He came back with a, really good spinning back kick against Fiallo, but Fiallo's, not the same. Then he lost to Dalby. I could see Randy probably, picking him apart, grinding out the decision. I could see this fight going over 2.5. So I'll go with the over on this one, over 2.5. Pretty good bet. And yeah, those are your fights, man. This is a stacked card, dude. Whew. If you guys need a place to bet, BetUS, promo code Iceman. I'll probably post my bets on my Instagram coming up soon this week, Thursday or Friday, because I like to, watch the embeddeds. I like to watch, the lead up. So preferably even sometimes I like to watch the weigh-in before I make my picks, just to see how, how these guys are looking. Because a lot of the, I'll see these guys and miss weight and be like, okay, I'm out. I don't want to bet this guy if he just missed weight. I was feeling him beforehand, but he goes in there looking like shit, misses weight. Then be like, whoa, I'm not betting him anymore. Little things like that will make me change my mind. So that's why I'm not posting my bets right now. I'm usually posting them on Instagram, like a day before or whatever. But whew, what a fight. What a fight card. I can't wait for this one. Hopefully Kobe gets it done, because it's probably going to be his last opportunity at the title shot. And we're probably going to see Shavkat Rakhmonov fighting for pretty soon here. And yeah, good luck. Hopefully you can make that money, because we're on fire. Out.